Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Trace Gallagher in for Martha McCallum, and this is the story. The growing list of Democrats on Capitol Hill calling on Graham Platner to drop out of the Maine Senate race now includes Bernie Sanders. He was one of Platner's most vocal and earliest backers and now says that he spoke to Platner and, quote, recommended that he step aside. Platner now, quote, taking the time to reflect on the best path forward in the face of serious new allegations. Here is Jenny Rassicot, who says she dated Platner, describing an alleged encounter from 2021. It's a warning here that the exchange is kind of graphic.
Did Graham Platner rape you?
By definition, yes. Absolutely.
Because he had non-consensual sex with you?
Yeah.
Forced himself on you? Mm-hmm. Even after you had told him no and fought him off?
Yeah. He violated multiple layers of consent that night by coming into my home when I asked him not to, and by advancing on me when I told him not to.
Well, Platner posting a 2-minute video denying the, quote, categorically false allegations. Here's a portion of that.
Regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins.
Let's bring in Michael Shepard, politics editor at Maine's Bangor Daily News. Michael, great to have you on the show. He just said, kind of looking at the best path forward. What's your take on this? I mean, it seems like a foregone conclusion that he is going to drop out. When does it happen? What needs to happen?
Yeah, it's a pretty remarkable situation. I mean, I see no path forward for this campaign, to be very clear at this time. So by Monday, he needs to make the decision to drop out. He needs to be the one to make it. The Democrats cannot take this away from him, right? So assuming he does that, I think he will eventually do that. Then it's a 2-week clock, essentially. They need to figure out a way that they feel comfortable selecting the next nominee, right? And that there's no precedent for this. Their bylaws don't really make preparations for replacing a statewide nominee here. So they're figuring it out on the fly right now. I just saw an update come across went to the Democratic State Committee here that they're going through all their options, and they've been working around the clock since this has been happening. So this is very hot right now, and there's a lot of people who are trying to influence this process right now as well. Candidates are even filed.
There is some reporting out there, Michael, that Graham Platner is not going to drop out unless he gets to pick the person who's going to replace him. The name Troy Jackson is being bandied about here, former state senator in Maine, ran for governor. What are you hearing about any possibility of that scenario?
I think it's really hard to imagine a scenario in which the candidate who carries the Democratic banner forward isn't harmed, right, by any more association with Graham Platner here. So I do think that either Platner or folks around him are trying to preserve, right, whatever leverage he may have. I mean, he certainly has some classic leverage here, right? He's the one who has to make the decision to drop out. But there's just no path forward to the point where continuing this race is sort of like a suicide vest, you know what I mean? And you've got a situation where the next nominee is going to have to really distance themselves from him. So especially someone like Troy Jackson, who endorsed him early on and, was on in a gubernatorial, ranked choice voting, since we have that up here, right? Alliance to try to win that race. So very delicate situation all around. Ultimately, I don't think he has much leverage just because there's just sort of no path forward, no support left for this campaign.
He has no leverage. Michael Shepard, thank you very much. We appreciate the reporting. Good information. Also here, Rich Zeoli, host of The Rich Zeoli Show, and Mike Nellis, Democrat strategist, former senior advisor to Vice President Kamala Harris, and founder of Authentic. Gentlemen, thank you both for coming on. I don't know, Mike. I think it's one of those things where you look at the landscape here. You look at the chessboard, and he makes a good point, Michael Shepard, when he says, Graham Platner, who wants to name the person who's going to replace him. Graham Platner won son doesn't have a leg to stand on right now, it doesn't seem to me. And it seems like everything that he touches is tainted. Maybe they don't want Graham Platner to name the replacement.
I mean, I don't know, but he does have a tremendous amount of leverage because he's the one who has to make the decision. So he's going to have some input on this, and there's going to have to be a compromise that's made. But regardless, this situation has spiraled out of control. He's clearly not a good dude, and he's got to go.
Yeah, I mean, it really goes, Rich, without saying, because, you know, he's got to go is one of the things. And how much leverage does he have on the way out is the question.
None. He's got no leverage whatsoever. 3 different rape accusations at least, a Nazi tattoo. And here's the thing, Trace. He was down 4 points in the polls. There was a poll that was done over the weekend, and they released it ahead of time because all this story broke. They knew he was going to lose to Susan Collins, and that's why this is happening right now. If he was up by 10 points, they'd be standing by him again. They stood by him over every allegation, and shame on the New York Times, by the way. Shame on the New York Times for not reaching out to the women who gave her friends' contact information to the New York Times and said, here, go talk to them and find out from them. And the New York Times tried to make this story out to be like, oh, we're Republicans coming forward to make allegations. Well, this woman is not a Republican who came out yesterday. The reality of the situation is that they've stuck with this man through Nazi tattoos, horrible posts on Reddit about violence, calling himself a communist, and saying horrific things about women when they thought he could win, Trace. And now they know he can't win, and now they're abandoning him.
I want to play some sound because this is Bernie Sanders, who, by the way, just said, nope, it's time to drop out. But Bernie Sanders repeatedly defending Graham Platner. Listen to this.
Graham Platner is the fighter we need. You bet. That's my kind of man.
I think Graham Platner is a great candidate.
This guy is an authentic man.
I like Graham Platner. You like Graham Platner.
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Graham Platner is the next senator from the state of Maine.
And at one point, Bernie Sanders said, there are no saints in the Senate. Well, apparently there's a threshold for sainthood here, Mike.
Yeah, well, I think the last thing we need is another demon, right? And those clips are difficult to see. It's hard. I think every Democrat's going to have to wrestle with how we got here. I will say, though, the Republican Party has not been policing their own. I mean, we could talk about Donald Trump and his long dalliances all day, but there's also... Hold on just a second, though, because I let you talk. But
stay on topic. I would just stay on topic.
Like, look, it's Congressman Max Miller was accused of beating his wife just like a month and a half ago. I haven't heard a single Republican...
What does that have to do with Graham Platner?
No, they both...
Maybe you guys... Can I make a suggestion? Just a suggestion.
I don't want any scumbags in the United States.
All right, so then don't back people with Nazi tattoos going forward.
I agree with you.
How about this? Democrat Party has a rule. If a guy's a Nazi tattoo, you don't endorse him. What do you think?
I have no problem with that rule.
So
but also,
why don't you guys put that maybe in your party?
That doesn't justify the fact that Republicans are refusing this. I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about Max Miller. He was accused of beating his wife a month and a half ago. Where are the Republicans calling for him to drop out?
I mean, this is nothing more than a case of politicians choosing power over proper.
100%.
100%. All it is you have politicians like, you know what? We can smell the aroma of the Senate majority, and we don't care who fills it. That's just the way it's going to be.
That's fine, but it's not just Democrats. I want to be clear about that.
But nobody cares about this congressional race. This is the United States Senate here.
Congressional races are important. Are you saying you don't care about him beating his wife?
This is the United States Senate race, and the Democrats are now abandoning a guy. These allegations are no different from the other allegations, and they all stood by him. One after one, they all stood by him. Now, remember, though, Trace, there was an effort to try to get him out right before the primary deadline when the New York Times story came out, and there was this, like, kind of effort to get Janet Mills to win the nomination. But they stood by their man until they saw he couldn't win. Bottom line. And that's all about craven power and nothing.
But here's the thing, and watch this, Mike. I want to play this because here's the New York Times reporter who literally took down Harvey Weinstein during the whole Me Too thing, saying that Platner was just a bad boyfriend. Play this soundbite, if you will.
The accusations against Graham Platner are not classic Me Too accusations. They're not about a boss and a young female employee being subjected to sexual advances. There are allegations from former girlfriends that are not, the way my colleagues reported them, were not like classic abuse allegations.
Not really a bad guy. Ray Scott says in the spring, this was in June, right? In the spring, Ray Scott told the New York Times off the record, shared that she was assaulted by Graham Platner. And then this New York Times reporter is going out on national television saying, he's not a bad guy. He's that classic bad guy.
But that's from a different allegation, so piecing them together is not the same. And the point that I was trying to make earlier is we have a lot of bad individuals who are rising up in politics right now. It includes Graham Platner. He's got to go. But the fact that that you just sit here and said that nobody cares that Max Miller beat his wife is highly alarming.
We're not here to talk about Max Miller. We're here to talk about Graham Platner.
I think we got to be talking about all of it, because if we're not policing this conduct from people, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, it's not right. Nobody has the moral high ground.
But the topic today is Graham Platner.
No,
that's why we're here. We're talking about Graham Platner. If we want to do another segment on the congressman you're bringing up or the candidate,
you let me know when we're going to book a segment on Max Miller, because I haven't heard a lot about it from Republicans.
Fox.
That's fine.
Mike, Rich.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.